welcome or welcome back. Today I am so excited to be painting this delicate snowdrop flower with you. We are using a number 4 round brush, a number 12 round brush, masking fluid, a natural rubber square to remove the masking fluid, tree green, Payne's gray, phthalo blue, metallic silver, and a cheap number 6 and number 0 round brush. Here is the drawing that I have made for today's painting. It is free to download from the link that I will have in the description of the video. I put it in my drive so that you can download it, print it, and trace it. But if you would like to draw it, I used a quarter to see how large the flowers would be, and they all pretty much fit perfectly in the quarter. Each of the petals looks like a teardrop with a little neck on it. And then each flower has a little, almost a little tiny oval up at the top. And then a graceful downturned stem that goes all the way down. They also have a spathe, I think it's pronounced, at the top. It's like a thin, floaty, delicate leaf at the top of the flowers. Soap is our best friend for this next step of the painting. We are going to be coating our old or cheap brushes in our soap, either dish soap or you can use a bar of soap. Just make sure you coat it all the way up to that middle part and then dip it into the masking fluid to very carefully paint within your pencil lines in the flowers, and make sure to go back many times into that masking fluid because you want it to be nice and wet on your brush so that it flows more easily while you're painting it. You also want it to be nice and thick. And then for those thin, dainty stems, I go from a size 6 round brush to a size 0 round brush, and I'm using it the same way, where I am dipping it many times back into that masking fluid. My lines are thicker than the pencil lines, but I am using them as a guide, and the lines themselves are about as thick as that size 0 brush. Then I'm using a size 6 brush for the leaves at the bottom to make them a little bit thicker. After waiting for the masking fluid to completely dry, about 15 minutes, or you can speed up the process with a hairdryer or heat tool, I make a wash using my Payne's gray and the blue that I have. I would suggest a blue that is good with salt. I know phthalo blue is good with salt, so I would suggest maybe using a phthalo blue mixed with your Payne's gray. I'm adding a little bit more blue because I want it to be on the bluer side and not on the grayer side. And then I've decided I want my horizon line to be lower than halfway in the painting. This will be my line where the snow meets the sky or where the snow meets the background. And I'm filling it in as quickly as I can. I'm using my number 12 round brush, and going back in and making sure to re-wet any area that looks like it's lost its sheen. You want it to be very wet when you put the salt on. One trick I have learned is to use water first and then put the color on after so that your paper is really wet, and that will give you a lot more texture with your salt. For this one, I did not do that, but for this practice one, I did, and you can see how there's just so much more texture. The company Fu Mui reached out to me and sent me these brushes that I'm using, the number 4 and the number 12. They hold a lot of water, a lot of paint, so they've been a real pleasure to use in the watercolors. I am making a lighter wash by using a little bit of that same blue mixed in with the Payne's gray and added a little bit more water to it and putting it into the snow where there would be shadow. this can be as much or as little shadow as you would like. It just gives the snow a more three-dimensional look. After putting down the first layer, I am tapping in a little bit more color, which gives it a very soft wet on wet mixing effect at the top and a wet on damp in the center, where you can still see there is a line between the darker blue and the lighter blue, but the wet on wet dried in more like a soft cloud-like effect. And then at the very bottom, it also gave it more of a wet on wet soft looking effect as well. Now for the fun part, we get to use our chunk of natural rubber, which if you're looking for it online, sometimes it's called a rubber cement eraser or a residue eraser, but it's perfect for removing our masking fluid. You can also try to use an eraser and just your fingers, but as you can see, it sticks to the piece of natural rubber so well that I prefer using it over anything else that I've tried. Now it's time to fill in our, it almost looks like a paint by number or a coloring book setup that we have now. It's really fun to fill in. And I am using, it's called Tree Green from my Miling set, but you could use maybe a sap green or an olive green, whatever green that looks to you like the color of a leaf. It does not need to be the same green. And I'm filling in with this light wash. I'd say it's about tea consistency, maybe just a little bit thicker, but it's light enough where the paper underneath is still really shining through, and it's just a very light first layer. I am filling in each of these leaves with this green first, and then dipping my paintbrush with the green still on it into that mix of blue and gray that I used in the sky, and dabbing it right into that still wet green into the leaves to create a darker shadowy area in the leaves, and then tapping my brush right into that blue and tapping that blue right into that still wet leaf. So then you have the bright green, the mix of the gray, blue, and green, and then that blue straight from the pan, all three together in the leaves. So you have all three of those colors in the leaves, which gives them a more 3D fun ombre effect. For the stems, I'm using that same warm green, and I am using a number 4 round brush, but you can use a size 0, a size 2 round brush if you want to be a little more careful about not going out of the lines if you haven't been doing it for a long time. It is a little bit easier with a smaller brush. This brush does allow me to have a fine point. It's the Fu Mui round brush number 4, but you can also do it with a number 2 round brush, a number 0 round brush. Either of those will work well for the stems and for the, I think you call them spathes, those little floaty, almost like leaves on top of the stems that look like they are maybe sheltering the flowers. They're so cute. And then for a little bit of a shadowy effect, I'm using that same mix with the green and with the blue and gray, and then also I'm going to be using some of that blue as well and dabbing it in to make an even darker green on some of the stems. I'm doing my best to stay within the lines, but if you do make a mistake and paint outside of the lines, just do your best to pick it up right away with a paper towel, or maybe you have a cotton cloth that you use instead of a paper towel. I'm being careful to go behind the flower in the foreground, or the flower that is closest to you, to make it look like it is standing out from the flowers behind it. I am also using more blue in the stem to make it look darker so that it looks like that flower is standing out more. The one in the front is standing out more, and the one behind it is going back more into the distance. For the flower petals, I'm going into that same green and drawing just the outline of the shape of the petals in the interior of the flower, and then using water, softening those green lines. For the next flower, I start off painting that petal that's underneath the petal on the left with just water first. Dab in a little bit of that green, and then dab in just a little bit of the watered down blue, moving it around a little bit. I've depleted my wash of blue, so I'm making another one for that little bud at the very top. I test it out on a piece of paper, decide it's a little too dark, add some more water, mix it well, and now it's ready for that cute little bud on top. I don't cover all of the white. I'm making kind of an oval shape right in kind of the center of the flower so that there is white showing on the left and white showing on the right. I am cleaning up the line where I had put the masking fluid of the bud. It wasn't quite as smooth of a curve as I'd wanted it. You can use your brush, get it just damp with water, so clean water, damp brush. You're rubbing it gently to pick up some of that paint, dab it with a paper towel, and then you can make it look the way you want to by adding just a little bit of paint in that previously white bumpy area. I add just a little bit more blue to the petal. For this next flower, we are painting the interior lines of the two outside petals, and then going into the inside of the flower. It's part of the flower that has the cutest little, it's like a little arch of green on it. And I think they're not called petals, but they're similar to petals. And it's another grouping of these petal-like structures inside of the snowdrop flower. And on each of them, they have this cute little arch. So while we're waiting for the inside of the flower to dry, we are adding just a little bit more color to the flower on the right-hand side, those two petals, making sure to still keep some of that white paper on each petal so that it looks like there's a highlight on each petal. We're not painting in the entire thing. Now that our flower on the left is dry, I am painting in that little green arch that's super cute, and then adding a little bit more definition to the shadow where the petals overlap those interior petals. Painting in those little swoops first with the green paint, and then going over them with just water to soften the look. I'm testing the blue on a scrap piece of paper, and then adding just a little bit of blue, kind of an oval shape, to that top petal on the flower that's in the foreground or the flower that's closest to us, making sure to keep a white area on kind of all around that shape so it looks like it's more three-dimensional. I do the same for these two petals of this next flower as well. I continue to use the number 4 round brush and that same green for all of the little, I think they're called ovaries. I'll put it on the screen. just those little oval shapes at the top of the flowers. For the shadows, I'm dipping into that blue and tapping it in while it's still wet. If it's too dark, I use the brush as a sponge by drying it off on the paper towel and then soaking that paint back up with the brush. I do the same thing for each of them with that same green, putting the green in first, and then while that green is still wet, dabbing in a little bit of that blue to make it look a little bit more three-dimensional, to give it some shadow. And then I also add a little bit of shading to the stem of the bud. After finishing the rest of the ovaries, it sounds a bit funny to say that, but that's the botanical name for them, I guess. And cleaning up some of the curves on the flowers to make them just a little bit more smooth. It's time to do my favorite part of this painting. Some of you may not be interested in metallic watercolors, which I totally understand, but I am just having so much fun with them, and I decided to add a bit of sparkle to this painting. So I am being careful not to cover up all of the white areas, as this silvery color, let's see what it's called. It's called Flashing Pearl in the Mailing watercolor set. It does look brighter than the white in certain lighting, but then in other lighting, you can see on the left-hand side in the snow, it does give it a darker look to it. So you don't want to cover up all of your white areas, or your white areas will look gray and they'll look darker than you want them to. But adding it just little bits here and there to the white areas for a little bit of sparkle is a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you get the chance to create soon, and I'll see you next time.